Hello and welcome to the year of being 70, the almost over year of being 70, which Lisette
Well, for you,
Schoutemacher.
not for me. It's
No,
over
well,
for
no,
me.
yours is over. That's true. Sorry, I must be accurate about
Yeah.
these things. So, Lisette and I have been recording weekly podcasts about the year that we were 70, or in my case, just about still am 70, since last year. I am in the UK. I am at home in Norfolk. Lisette is in a much more exciting place. She is in Milan. So, Lisette, what are you doing in Milan?
Well, I am going to a gathering of people in Tuscany where we're going to talk about systemic impact investing. So when you invest for impact, you invest in companies that you think will help the world to be more healthy and interconnected and regenerative and distribution of wealth and all of that good things.
That's
But
wonderful.
then, so you invest here and you invest there and you invest there. But now this new thinking is how can we actually change the systems, change the system of ownership, change the system of. So that's going to be very interesting days. And I thought, let me not do like what I call the businessman trip, fly in at the latest possible moment and fly out at the first possible moment.
Right.
So I structured this trip for myself. I was on a train the whole day yesterday, connecting in Paris.
So you
And
came from
I'm in
Amsterdam.
Milan
Give us the whole
from
itinerary.
Amsterdam.
You
Yes, from
got a
where I live,
train in
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, then you went across to Paris.
Yeah, so I walked to the subway, took the subway then to Paris. Then I took the subway in Paris to connect to another station. And I was on the train and I thought, oh, it will be wonderful. I will see all of France and all of Europe, but mostly you're kind of in this, they kind of put walls, of course, for the sounds and so I didn't see too much. But now I'm in Milan. I did a short morning walk, and already I understand why people want to live in Italy.
Oh,
I
really?
mean,
Tell us why.
well, you
What's so
pass
wonderful?
a pasta shop or an antipasti shop, and it is just styled. I mean, you just want to go in and buy things, even if you're staying in a hotel. And then around here, I went to the Colonna of San Lorenzo, and there's this Roman kind of colonnade and there's this church and a little park, but it's all like, wow. I mean, Italians are also, stressed, but it also has some joie de vivre, I
Yeah.
think the Italian is really, yeah.
So will you be moving to Milan after this?
No, tomorrow I'm actually moving to Florence. I have a day in Florence and then we go to
Lovely.
Tuscany. And then on Wednesday next week, I actually go to Rome to a conference called by the Pope.
Amazing. That is so impressive.
Amazing.
It's
That's what I
called
think too.
the Pope has called you to come and talk
Wow,
to
it's
him.
called 800 people, and I have the good fortune to be snuggling in there through an organization that I belong to.
But
And
that
we'll
is
talk
all
about
about
business
impact
leaders.
investing.
Well, that is to talk about the former Pope Francis, 10 years ago, wrote a piece called Laudato Si, in which he talks about our relationship to the earth and how we are, custodians, not only, we're also part of this earth. So, but we should take care of all beings. And that's a beautiful piece. That if 1.4 million Roman Catholics, would really stick to that, we would be in a better place, climate change wise and biodiversity wise and soil health wise and cruelty, less cruelty to animals, I would say. But so 10 years after that, this Pope is kind of celebrating that.
That's great. That's because you don't so often hear about the religious backing, if you like, for conservation and care of the earth. And so that's really,
Yeah.
I haven't read or heard anything about this. I wonder how it'll be reported.
Yes, and maybe it is reported in different newspapers or different channels than we are part of, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if there is a big report, but I hope there is some sort of resolution. I learned about Laudato Si from friends that I worked with, and I read it at a time, and I will read it again on the train to Florence tomorrow. And there's one sentence when I read it last week that is really, I mean, it's just a one sentence that I've remembered. It says, the universe unfolds in God who fills it completely. The universe unfolds in God who fills it completely. I don't know what that means to you, but that is,
I have no idea what it means. Well, I mean, yes, I can
well, it's
understand.
mystic, right?
It's mystic, yes, and I
It's
think I can see
mystic,
that
but
that
it's
appeals
also
to you, kind
makes.
of in
So
a.
if the universe unfolds in God, it says that God is not, the creator who has created this earth and who has a big book and looks whether you've sinned or not. The universe unfolds in God. And so God is even bigger than the universe because the universe unfolds in this being that then fills it completely, which says to me, that everything is sacred, everything, everyone, everything is sacred because it is all filled with God in this unfolding universe. To me, that is a sentence that I can just, live with and have with me. And
Hmm.
I was once in Mongolia, and there people all the time, mumble this prayer, "Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum," which kind of, reminds you of the sacredness of life, of this amazing happenstance that we are here, and that all beings, deserve love and respect and
Yes.
gratitude.
I can absolutely agree with you about that. I'm less in tune with sacredness and talk about God myself, but I still think that the universe is something extraordinary, and we need to be doing good things and to leave it in a better place, whatever part of the universe we inhabit. We should strive to leave it in a better place than we found it in small and big ways, hopefully. But yeah, you going to this conference is quite a big way, I think.
It
So
is a
that's
very
very
big way.
impressive.
And this is doing, I so wish I could tell this to my father. I mean, my father was quite a big businessman, but he was
Yeah,
always quite surprised to find himself in places of importance. And I feel I have the same kind of maybe naivete, maybe, how did I get here?
humbleness, yes.
Well, that's a sweet way to say it.
Humility is the word, not humbleness.
Yeah, but also this kind of surprise of, okay, we'll see.
Wow, that's
So, and maybe,
great.
the Pope will be just a figure somewhere far away. There will be 750 ecumenical, so it's not only Roman Catholics, it's a very,
Well, that's wonderful
all
too. I mean, the
religions.
breadth of
Yeah,
response. That's
I think it's
terrific.
all religion. I don't know if indigenous people are included. I'll see. And then there's 45 business leaders.
Wow.
44 and me, I would say.
No, you are absolutely a business leader. No, that's amazing. Well, I expect a full report on that next week. And
Yeah. Yeah, so one thing I have been doing in this particular group, which is called For Good Leaders, and which brings, companies together and say we are a force for good. And let's know that, let's talk about that and let's show that to the world how business can be a force for good, which, it is in many ways, but it is also destructive in many ways. And what I have been doing there is bringing the feminine, bringing the voice of the feminine, because this was started by two men who've now split up, but they're very action and we need to do more. And I say, well, there's also the being, there's also the
yes,
stillness, there's also where does all your doing come from? Are you truly in tune with that? Or are you trying to save the world like when you were a small child? You wanted to be, a fireman because you wanted to save people from the burning building, or you wanted to be
yes.
a doctor who cured everyone. And that saving the world has some aspect of the little boys, and it's a lovely impulse, of course, but you also have to be a bit wary of it.
Yes, there's a certain amount of ego tied up in that, isn't there?
Yeah,
That it's
yeah, you have
me.
to.
I want to save the world. I need to be
I'll be the
this
one.
big person. I think that's true, actually. There is something about the feminine and the I'm not saying we don't have egos. Obviously, we do, but there's a sort of a more, instead of going out there and aggressively saying this is what we need to do, it's a sort of more a sort of spreading. I see it as, dropping a pebble in a pond and
Yeah.
the rings spreading out. I mean, I had an interesting, I mean, on a, tiny scale experience this week where I was giving a masterclass because I have this group of women called Mission Magic, and I run a mastermind every year. And I'm kind of recruiting for the next mastermind, a second cohort this year. So I gave
Okay.
a free
A recruit
masterclass.
here. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it. What does it
Okay,
bring?
well, I'll tell you about. I mean, so what I did was give a free masterclass on Wednesday, sort of an hour's, and it was called Mission Magic: how to find your mission, because purpose is the power. And I mean, I think you're an incredible example of that. You have terrific purpose, and that is your power. So I was going to put together a sort of almost a teaching kind of, here's some information, here's some statistics, here's some other people's stories of what's happened. And I found myself putting together a class, a very interactive class with exercises and things that actually I based very much on my own story. And I have never really done that before. I've never sort of
Hmm.
put myself out there as an example. And it wasn't so much that I was saying, hey, look at me, I'm amazing, do the same stuff.
No, it's not
I
like
mean,
that.
no, I mean, one
No.
of the things that I did was the timeline exercise where you sort of look at significant points in your life and you try to find an overview of what your purpose is, what your mission has been for your whole life, because it's not always obvious to the person. And I did this exercise with a friend of mine called Melanie Gow a few years ago, and I sort of talked about having started a theatre magazine, of being in television, of doing work-life balance, of starting a publishing company, and all the rest of it. And my view was, I said to Melanie, look, I've just had a completely random, you can't even call it a career. I've just done things as they've come up. I've done things I've enjoyed, but I haven't had, I can't see one overall purpose. And she looked at it and she said, Lucy, can you not see it? And I said, no, no, I can't. What? And she said, your overall purpose is to give a platform to unheard voices. And that was just such a powerful thing for her to say to me.
There you go, Lucy. Wow.
So yes.
Platform to unheard voices.
So yes, I could make sense of that. I mean, and I certainly feel that's what I'm doing now with books and book magic and my mission
And with
masterclass.
women,
And with women, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And so that was a very powerful thing to do. So I got the women in who came on this masterclass. There are about, nearly 40 people there on this Zoom call, and I got them all to do their well, as much as their timeline as they could possibly do in that short time. And they had some amazing missions. I mean, they found it very powerful as well, even a sort of, like 5 minutes work on it. And then I put them
Wow. And did
into,
you then pair them up? Because
yes, well, then
as
I,
you so beautifully
exactly.
demonstrate, very often we don't see the threat in somebody else. It is so glaringly obvious.
Yes, yes, exactly. So then then I put them into breakout groups, and there
Yeah.
were sort of three people in a breakout group. And they came back from that saying, oh, it's so good to talk to you. I just needed to, I needed to meet you. And that was just so nice. It was just
So
such a nice
beautiful.
experience to have. And actually, I feel that having done this podcast with you over the last year, that I have learnt to be much more open. I think before, in certainly in terms of social media and professional life, I was just very much professional me. That was, I didn't share my own stories. I wasn't I didn't really have the confidence to do it, I suppose. I didn't think they were interesting enough. And now I realize, and perhaps it's a function of being 70, and you think, well, who cares anymore? Maybe I do have the long view now. That I feel that
Yeah, but
having,
also I think you point to something there where we women have come into the world of men who shape their professional life in a certain way, and then we kind of ran along.
Yeah.
I mean, I first, when I started working, very much wanted to be able to do what the boys could do and prove that I could do that, right?
Yeah.
And that, but of course, there was also that time of the month when I was more emotional, and I was more emotional anyway. And so it never really fully worked. But if we try to be like impersonal and professional, ugh,
Yes.
uh,
Yes. It's really.
I love this. And I think I we had a with Pimwimic, which is the co-op that I'm on the board of, with which we do impact investing in regenerative agriculture and healthy food systems. And we have a cooperative, and every year we have a member day. And this year we were at a member's who he is part of a family that, his great grandfather set up a company that is, still owned by them. So there's just a lot of money coming every year. And when he opened in his own home, where they have the first two floors they make available for exhibitions, for visiting artists, and they live on the top floors. Um, and he spoke about, the privilege and the legitimacy of it. Whereas, the wealth, so to say, it is legitimate. Everything is within, you know, is legally is coming to
Yes.
him, not only legal with, but then what is the legitimacy of that? And because he spoke to that and spoke to, say, his living questions, it was an extraordinary day.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
when you do it, when you as a trainer do it or as a host, then you kind of open up that arena, and then it's fine for others to also talk about these things that, like you on purpose, we all grapple with our purpose. Why am I actually here? What am I doing? I see no pattern. What is my next step? I have no idea. Where do I actually come from? Is my experience any good? And then
Yeah.
come with your story, and it's kind of, whoa, it looked random, but there was a pattern there all the time. So I think it's wonderful.
Yes, no, it was really interesting, and I was very gratified, I suppose, to see that people, sort of said afterwards that was so inspiring. That was, it's really really good to hear your story, and and I've sort of. I feel that maybe, we've talked before about p women thinking writing their books is a selfish activity because it takes them away from people they should be looking after in any sphere of their lives. And I really wonder whether, as women, we don't share our stories enough for the same sort of reason that we think we're being boastful or we're putting ourselves out there. And actually,
Yeah.
we really need to do that because it does show other people the way, and it does make it legitimate, as you say, and it does inspire people to think, well, if you've got a story with all that kind of crazy non-career, then maybe I have a story too and a purpose. And
Yeah, and kind of boasting, there's like boasting is kind of here, you're kind of over the top, and then we downplay, so then we're kind of here. But can we be here in the where you give people a felt sense of where you are and how you got there and how surprised you were to have this red thread through your career, or how, yeah. And then we're actually really on the heart level. And in the end, I think everybody loves to be there. It
yeah,
may be uncomfortable. It may certainly be uncomfortable for some men. Uh, but in the end, that's where we can really connect. And then the brilliance of the mind can come, and the power of the will can come. But yeah, I think it's a
yeah,
beautiful example. And it is. And I so think if we as women bring this into business, then business will change.
yeah, yeah,
Instead of running along with the boys, we do need to bring this more kind of reflective. And why are we actually doing this? Maybe it's good business, but why are we doing this? And what is actually, what are the side effects? Is it really good business or is it good business? You know,
Yeah.
we need to ask those questions. Yeah,
Yes, and you know, it's not just about success and money and all those things that have been perhaps masculine goals and aims for so long, but it is actually about making things better. And of course, lots of men have excellent and wonderful purposes and missions, and
absolutely.
I'm not, you know, trying to
Yeah,
denigrate that in any way. But I do think that as women, we don't see our own stories so well because I really think that as women, our lives go in cycles. You know, right from the very start when you know, when we're 12 or so, and you know, we immediately get into
the cycle
cyclical
begins.
the cycle begins. But, you know, we have cycles in our lives. I mean, not everybody, but some of our, you know, sometimes it's a cycle of motherhood and, or, you know, partnership or motherhood or, you know, sort of those sorts of cycles, but also the kind of aging cycles. I think the decades are cyclical much more for us. And while, you know, we kind of change and rejuvenate and reinvent ourselves, and I'm, you know, the master or the mistress of reinvention, I think men kind of operate slightly more in a straight line metaphor. You know, we talk about career ladders and milestones and pathways and you know those sorts of
Yeah.
metaphors. And
But
for
I
men,
think
it's
we're
a sort
finding
of
with younger people that younger people don't just want to work for everybody. They
no,
want a purpose. And very often they have their first job and they're kind of disillusioned. And so the moment of that line not going, you know, straight up the ladder, straight up the career, is like they question things and they say, why is this company, is this really right? I want to, you know, work. They want to work with purpose. So that is changing. And picking up on what you said before, you know, I don't want to, you know, put men down. They're wonderful. But I think there was a culture, and in many places still is a very masculine culture of, as you say, winning and beating the other and success. I mean, it's kind of a warfare almost, you know, like the war games that young boys
yes,
play, and that
yes,
yeah,
life is a
don't
zero
see
sum
girl. I mean,
game.
we girls can be horrible. We can be in little groups and
Absolutely.
exclude others and be
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
horrible. So we are not so visible
No, no,
about
no,
it. That's
no, no, that's true. No, no, when no,
yeah.
you know, we're not saints in any way.
No, not in any way, but I think the culture of business. So yeah, I have a friend who went to one of the Pope's other gatherings in the spring, and she was really, she said it's so patriarchal. It's so, and as long as the church does not acknowledge that they have willfully and purposefully kind of written Mary Magdalene and all that is feminine out of the Bible,
Yeah,
then what are they talking about when they talk about Mother Earth all of a sudden?
yeah,
She was very vehement and she said, I couldn't get a word in sideways. And I said, but that is also, so don't go, Lisette, it's a waste of your time. And I, well, that's why we need to go. That's why we
yeah,
need to go and be there and yeah, be vocal. Maybe I've said this before in a podcast. I don't remember. That's, you know, being 71. Um, I was at this gathering of women called by a friend of mine, a younger friend of mine. She calls it the elders. And we did this round after 2 days. We did like this checkout round. And so the culture there is, you know, you take the talking stick and you can talk as long as you have to stick, but not too long because there's 20 other people. And if everybody takes 5 minutes, well, see how long that takes. Uh, but I had already had my turn. So then the rule is you don't come back to, but I did because this needed to be said. I had this realization that I was part of the suppression of women, suppression of the feminine, because I do it here. I do it internally. I censor myself for what I say because I mean, exactly. So can I be this emotional? Can I be this vague? Can I use this language?
yeah. Yeah.
course, we all do to a certain extent, but there and then I thought, and then the next day or the day after, I had this meeting with for good leaders where I spoke up all the time, and the host said, "Oh, you drove me crazy all the time. I had to hand the microphone to you, and you were talking about stillness and being and." But I do feel it is a perk of this age that
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, if he is a bit peeved, or you know, I'm
No,
just going to do
absolutely.
this. But it's also good repeating this to you because next week I will be intimidated and
Oh,
by um by the surroundings, by the longevity of this institute that is both cruel and horrible and sexist and wonderful and beautiful and mysterious.
yes, it is an extraordinary mixture, isn't it? I mean, still in the Church of England here, there are still, really vehement discussions about whether women can be bishops, whether it's possible, for women to be bishops. I mean, they can now,
Really, this
yes,
day and age.
yes, absolutely. There's a very strong kind of part of the Church of
Yeah.
England that says, women cannot do this. They cannot be that kind of leader. It's not in the
And what
Bible.
is why could we not do this? It's just we women can't do it, period.
Yeah, I mean it's not biblical. It's not what's, whoever Peter, Paul, I don't even know.
Peter, Paul, and Mary. Yeah,
Yes, exactly, Peter, Paul.
that was a
Yes,
band.
Mary gets totally knocked off that perch.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's, what, it's just like you don't have the authority as a woman. That's it. You weren't given it by God. You weren't given it by, the disciples, whoever wrote the Gospels. It's not, it's
No,
not
that's true.
appropriate.
They did. They wrote Mary Magdalene and her position
Yeah.
as a chosen disciple, as a peer to Jesus, as a partner of Jesus. They completely eradicated that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and for all we know, there were others that,
yeah,
didn't even make the edit.
yeah.
It's who knows, but yeah, it goes on, and it's still, and I mean, if you think of the Catholic Church, it's entirely masculine, isn't it? I mean, I don't think there are any women in
Women's.
any
No,
women's in
I
any.
had to, registering for a conference, there's, you go like, what is your title? And it says Mr., Mrs., Ms. Uh, and now I register, it says Archbishop, Bishop, Cardinal. It's like, and then down there somewhere, Ms. No, it is completely masculine. So it just, there's yin and yang. The Chinese know that. There
Yeah,
is. We
yeah,
women need to. And so I see the point of my friend Nikki, who says, as long as they don't admit anything feminine into their but for sisters who care for them and who kind of play a side role,
yeah.
then I cannot take them seriously. And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go on that, I would say, crusade next week. I'll
Well,
see.
it'll be really interesting to see if
Yeah,
that arises in any way. I mean, maybe not in the main conference, but maybe in sort of side discussions and
yeah,
things. It'll be really,
yeah,
really interesting to see what attitudes are brought to this, and how
yeah,
many women are there. Actually, I'll be interested to hear
yeah,
about what the gender divide is in attendance, and
yeah.
whether it is in fact mostly men, and whether you're an,
Men in robes.
men in
Men dressed up as
men in
women,
dress,
actually.
exactly, men in
Oh, are
dresses.
we being very irreverent here, Reverend?
I think we're
Um,
allowed to be irreverent
yeah,
on our own podcast.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, yeah, it will
yeah. But
be.
I'm a friend of mine is coming in, and we have this not the businessman's trip. Fly out as soon as you
Yeah,
can. We have a day in Rome next week, Friday, and so she's going to come, and I'm coming with two other women, really forces of nature, both. So I feel, yeah.
yes, yes, there will be power
Yeah, we
there.
need to also fortify one another and not kind of
Yeah, yes, yes,
sink into the
absolutely.
tram rails of this is how we do things here. Yeah, okay. And this is where you got to. So let's talk about how we can do things differently.
Yes, yes, no, it will be very, very interesting. I'm reading a fiction book at the moment that's very much about Freemasons.
Oh,
which I presume you, well, it's sort of part of a subplot. But it's an interesting thought that men have, sort of have these support groups, if you like, but they're very sort of ritualistic and exclusive and secretive and powerful, and it's sort of all about helping each other become more successful and hiding problems and I think about my mastermind groups where 12 women kind of really support each other through a year of,
yeah.
sharpening their missions and clarifying. And it's just a very different feel, I think. Not that I've ever been to a Masonic,
Well,
you
my
know.
my grandfather, so the second husband of my grandmother, not a father of my mother, but she has known him since she was, I don't know, 10 or so. Um, he was a Freemason. And even when he came to live, so he lived in Amsterdam and when went to the, yeah, we call it the Loge. So there's this building. I know
The
what this
lodge,
is.
yes,
The
yes.
Lodge. Oh,
Yeah,
the
that's
Lodge.
what we
Yeah.
call it too.
And so I saw him. He would dress up and then walk to the train station, take the train to Amsterdam, and go to this Freemasons lodge every Tuesday or so. And he would also publish about it. And I do understand that a closed group with rituals works, like your mastermind group. It works. It doesn't work if someone just enters and then, starts in the conversation that has been building. And but in the Netherlands, they are now, I think there's still lodges only for men, but there's also mixed.
Oh, really? Perhaps,
Yeah.
perhaps they are in the UK. I don't know. I don't really follow
Yeah. And I
Masonry.
have a friend who, for a while, found when he kind of dropped out of organized religion, he found, yeah, another group. And it wasn't, I never got the impression that it was about, I'll help you step you up here and you there. It was really more about, again, the sacredness of life. I think this sentence, the universe unfolds in God who fills it completely, is very much also their practice of the mythical, yeah,
Hmm.
mythical nature of life. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No, that is interesting and powerful. Well,
Yeah.
I feel that I need to let you go because I know you're anxious to get
I'm eager to go into Milano. I
out and
have no,
about
well,
and
I have a ticket to the Scala this evening, where the
oh wow.
theater, where there is a ballet. So I asked the people in the hotel, do people dress up? And this man at reception late last night said he'd only gone to the Scala for the first time last year in his
Oh.
first time in his life. And he was way up, up, up there and up, up, up there. He didn't really need to dress up. But I've brought a nice little outfit. And yeah,
Ooh,
yeah, yeah. So
exciting.
yeah.
Wow.
It's about a 20-minute walk. So, but it's such a, I mean, it's not 20 minutes because I'm really the tourist. I have no sense of direction. So I'm here with my phone and I take pictures of pasta shops and churches and
Yes, how lovely. You're on a wonderful
yeah.
excursion. Well, I
And you
hope
really do feel that the Roman Catholicism is much more present here.
really.
With my short walk this morning of about 40 minutes in the area, is yeah, you see churches, there's the crosses, there's yeah, Mary with her baby, and in the Netherlands that's kind of, I don't know, gone a bit.
Yeah, well, the Netherlands is a Protestant culture, isn't it? I mean,
Well, the north is
mostly.
Protestant, the south is Catholic.
Oh,
Well, used to
right.
be, used to be. Of course, there's many other religions there now,
Yes, of course, of course.
mosques, and there's also Christians and yeah,
Yes, yes, but much more
let's
secular
see.
now.
But no, should we not talk about what you have coming up?
Oh, well, yes, maybe next week is no, this week is in fact, yes, it's my 30th. It's my 30th wedding anniversary, mine and Richard's 30th wedding anniversary,
Wow,
which is,
30.
yes, it's a really long time. And it's funny because, I was married first to Rob and we had 20 years together. We just about made the 20 years. And I always think of Richard as, my new husband,
I think of
my
him as your new husband.
yes,
He's
my
just
kind of
only arrived on the scene.
exactly, exactly. And he's a bit younger than me as well. So I find it difficult to believe we've been married for 30 years, but it's yeah, we've had our ups and downs and interesting times. But yes, it's so anyway,
Are
we're
you celebrating?
yes, we're just going away for a night to a spa hotel. I mean, in fact, it's really kind of unusual for both of us. We both kind of thought it would be quite nice to do something quite luxurious and have, go and have massages and facials, which is even more unlike Richard than it is me. But it's not something I do. So we're going away. We've got an afternoon of, having facials and
Pampered, being pampered.
pampered. That's right.
Yes,
Yes,
that's it.
exactly. A nice dinner in a nice hotel, and then another kind of, a massage in the morning. So I should come away feeling incredibly relaxed and having achieved 30 years of relationship. And yes, maybe that's a whole another landmark to have achieved at 70. So yeah.
So it is interesting because Jos and I have 31 years. We're technically married, but I never wanted the wedding thing and a white dress and a
No.
reception, and I just never wanted that because yeah, there is still also that element of, the father giving
Yeah.
away the bride to the husband. I said, what is that about? That comes from the time when women had no say over
Yeah.
themselves. We
They
had
were
no
an
legal
object.
stature. We were an object. We were given away from the custody of the one to the custody of the other. I
Yeah.
never ever wanted that. And I see young, my niece last year with her big wedding was happening again. I thought, why didn't you break that? Why didn't you
I
even have your
know.
mother do it if you wanted someone
Yes, yes,
to
I
kind of lead
know.
you and not come there alone? But anyway,
I
so
know.
in your second, did you have a big wedding and a white dress and
Sort
all of
of
that?
a media big. I mean, my father had just died earlier that year,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
certainly didn't get to be given away. So we got married at Chelsea Town Hall, which was that's the statutory, whatever you call it, sort of part of it. And we had, family there. And yes, I think as far as I remember, we came in together. And then we did actually, because we were both in a sort of quite a religious phase at the time. And so we did have a blessing, which was sort of
Hmm.
in the form of a wedding service. But we walked up the aisle together. We weren't, and I wasn't given away by anybody.
By anybody. You were your
No,
own
exactly.
woman.
Yes,
So
yes.
so you were a 40
Yes,
or
I
almost
was.
40.
I was 40. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I was 39 when I met Jos.
Oh,
I was
really?
almost 40.
Yes.
So
And how
so
when
it's
did you
interesting.
actually marry? When did you have that,
At some point, I thought with kind of also our different economic circumstances that it would be a good idea we have this kind of registered partnership, which is a legal format.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and we just went to the municipal building on a very, I don't know, Tuesday morning. And we needed to have a witness
Oh,
there.
yes.
So we both asked someone who is not really in our life. And this woman who I asked, I really like her. I never see her. But she said, why me? I said, well, I really, really like you, but you're not really in my life. And if I ask, one friend, and why not another
Yes,
friend?
yes.
That's just impossible. It opens up the whole thing. And then why not my family? And of course, my mother was kind of, huh? I mean,
Oh, she was upset that you didn't
yeah.
give her the opportunity to be.
But also, I think by that time she realized I would not be that kind of daughter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I have no idea. We don't know the date. I don't know. I don't remember the year. It's kind of a non-event.
Yes,
We
well,
like went for lunch and that was it.
normally we don't celebrate, or we usually forget our wedding anniversaries
Yeah.
completely. But it did just occur to me this year that it was 30 years, and maybe we should do something to mark it. So we are doing something. But yes,
Yeah.
no,
So
that's
you had
interesting. That both
An October wedding.
It was a September wedding, actually.
Oh,
It
it was
was
still
just
September.
it was the 30th of September.
Okay.
So
Very
yeah,
auspicious day.
very auspicious. Yes, indeed. Yes.
Okay, well,
So, okay.
celebrate. Have a beautiful time together.
Yes, yes,
Relax and be pampered and look each other
yes.
in the eye and go like, isn't it incredible how 30 years just
Just goes in a flash. I know. Extraordinary, extraordinary. But yes, well, you have a wonderful time too. Enjoy the ballet. I'm so glad I'm not going with you. I absolutely hate ballet and opera and classical
yeah.
music concerts.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a wonderful thing to do
Yes.
when you're in a different city. Uh,
Yeah.
and then I love getting tickets because then you kind of, yeah, no, it's a wonderful thing. I find it's a
No,
wonderful,
no,
but
no.
you
I
like
know.
it or you don't
I'm
like it,
the
and then it's like, yeah,
Yes. No, I know I'm perfectly well aware that I'm the strange one here and that you're doing
yeah,
something
no, no,
more
no, no, no.
straightforward
It's
enough.
just, yeah, yeah.
So have a great time and let's talk about the conference and when next week.
Next week. See you then.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.